Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. I thought whilst my youngest was having a nap and my other one is at nursery, I would have a little tea and chat with you. I've got my tea, I've got my biscuit and I've got my notes ready to go. So this video is something that I would have liked to have found before I started doing stalls, selling at markets and things, because I really didn't know what to expect when I went into it. I had past retail experience working in various supermarkets and things, but nothing really prepares you for doing your first market or stalls. And I'm hoping those of you who are starting your business and are considering the markets as a route to go down will find this video useful to you. These are all the things I talk about in this video are based off my own experiences and how things went for me, so it may be a completely different scenario depending on what you're selling, depending on where your market is, but yeah. So I've got some lovely pros and cons here that I wrote out earlier when I was thinking about doing this video, and I was actually sitting on a stall at the time in Gloucester market thinking I should do a video about this. I should talk to you about the pros and cons. Let's get into the pros. And the first pro I have on my list is you can road test your products. If you are a new business or you are creating some new things that might need a slightly different audience than what you're used to, then market stalls are a great way to road test. You can go to your market, set it up as your shop. It's like a mini shop, remember, it has to look good, and you can see what people think of what you have created. The great thing with markets is that people walking through there, they want to spend money on unique items that they cannot get anywhere else. They want to buy items that are often handmade and want something that is really special. They may even want to know who made it. So if you're the creator and you're on your stall selling your things and you have a chat with them, they're going to be far more engaged than finding you through the wonders of the algorithm on a website, because you can explain about your product, how it's made, what's inspired you, and you can build that rapport which you can't get as easily through online sales, and that is the way it is with market stalls. It being said, you making sales at a market isn't always going to happen. This is one of the cons. So you going to your first market stall and not making any sales, that is not an indicator that your products are bad or that you are doing something wrong. I did my first market that was a £10 little table in my local village, and I sold £10. I didn't make anything. I'd spent so much time making stock for this thing, making a setup to make it beautiful, and I set it all up and I was like, this looks really good, and I made no sales. And it wasn't that what I had done was bad or necessarily wrong, it was that the people going into that market weren't my target audience. They weren't looking to buy things that I was offering, because I offer a very unique niche product that isn't the cheapest in price. And that was one of the things they said, you know, these products they're quite expensive, when actually they're not, because of the time that I put into them. But I can understand where they were coming from, because I was sitting on this stall with these luxury items, I guess, next to people selling like sweetie bags and raffles and things that are not what I was offering. And I don't think they really understood what I was offering. But it wasn't what I was doing was wrong, because I had booked myself into a few more markets. I did a charity market the weekend after, and I ended up making over £200. And I had the same stuff, I had a similar setup, but the clientele was different. And this is something to bear in mind. Your stuff may be amazing, but if you haven't chosen the right venue to go to and market to, then it's not going to work. It's a big thing. Research where the market is, research who might be around there, look at the area, and then you can get a better gauge if people are going to be interested in your items or not. That's something that took me a while to learn, like where to sell my things. Now for me, I sell a lot of countryside inspired things, and so my work goes really well when it's in that countryside setting, when it's next to a heritage house, when it's in the centre of Cardiff. It goes really well. There's more range of people going through there, so it's a slightly different scenario. And most probably, as one of your first markets, doing a big market may be out of the window due to the price. This is kind of a pro and con of doing markets. Sometimes, to start off with, the price is actually pretty reasonable. If you can find those £20–25 markets, they can actually set you up pretty well. I do a £20 and £25 market every month. One a month that I do. It's with a smaller company, but because people know I go there, I have repeat customers from it. So don't be snooty about the £20 ones. They can actually be a little bit of your bread and butter. And they are a great way to road test, because it's very little capital for a potentially big gain. And then this is a con. So sometimes the price will not be in your favour. And I'm thinking specifically massive events. So I've heard that comic cons and things are of a similar vein, but I have done larger country shows, and they were thousands of pounds for you to have a 3x3 metre stall at, and it was a bit of a disaster. And it wasn't the weather's fault, it was a combination of factors that had a big bearing on the amount that I was able to make and other people make at that show. Talking to other stallholders, they had incredible work and they didn't make a sale, and I felt so bad because they were offering these incredible things, and unfortunately the climate for that market just was really dire. There were a combination of factors, like they'd raised ticket prices to get into this countryside show, so people didn't want to spend as much on gifts and things whilst they were there. They hadn't put up proper signage for us. A lot of these things just led to a lack of footfall and a lack of customers wanting to buy. Then in that case, it's really worth doing your research. Who would be right to do the market with? Look at the people running the market. How long have they been established for? Can you find any reviews for them? And have a look at those to decide whether or not it is worth doing those big ticket markets and conventions, because if you do them, you need to at least minimum break even. And when I say break even, I mean that includes your time getting there, your time managing the stall, because your time is worth money, and if you need to stay as well, if it's further away from your home, all needs to be covered. Those costs need to be covered. On those days where you do a market and you only break even, don't look at it as a loss. This is a pro of doing markets. They are a great advertising opportunity. People get to see your products in person, they get to talk to you, they get to build the rapport, and it can lead to potential revenue later down the line. You give them your business card, you give them a little postcard with your details on. This has been great for me in growing my online sales. Until this point I was rubbish with social media, and all my growth was through doing market stalls, and it has really been helping me out, especially when this virus hit us. Me having done those markets, doing that hustle, has led to more customers. So don't be downhearted when you've only broken even for a market, because that later down the line you can make money. Remember that £10 stall that I told you about, and I only made back the price of the stall cost? I had 2 orders from that, and I got £80 back from it, and those people wouldn't have known who I was without doing that market, so it wasn't a complete loss. Meeting new customers. Obviously, if you're just starting out, you're going to meet loads of new customers, but you're not only going to meet new customers, you are going to build a rapport and create existing ones. People come to me time and time again at my monthly markets that I do because they know I'll be there, and they'll see my things and they'll know that so and so will love this as a gift, or they really want that as a birthday present, and they will know where to find me, and I get existing customers that way. They will come and say, "Yanni, missed you at the last market if I hadn't been there," and it's really nice having that relationship with the customers that you may not really get online. I mean, now I do get messages and people starting to comment on my posts that I do on Facebook and Instagram, but it's a slightly different dynamic than it is being face to face with someone and them appreciating what you do and you appreciating them for loving what you do. It's a really nice way to build rapport with people. And when you're in a creative business like we are, or you may be doing something different. I'm sorry if you're doing something different and you're like, I'm not doing something that creative. I'm doing food. Food is creative. Fight me on that. Food is creative. If you're in a field where you work for yourself, it can be lonely. And getting out to those markets, that is like your FaceTime with the people you might have had rapport with at work. It's still technically your work, and having that social time is really important. I find it really important because it can feel very lonely doing what you do. But you also build a really good relationship with the fellow creators and makers and stall holders at these markets, especially if you do them often enough. You know who's who, and it's like, oh, it's lovely to see you again. And you can have a lovely chat, and it really helps, blows away the cobwebs. You can bounce off ideas with each other. It's just really nice being able to do that. Let's look at some of the cons, because I've talked a lot about the pros. You're going to have to get up early. Markets in general start at 10 o'clock or 9:30 if you're unlucky, and you're going to have to get up early to, I would suggest you get your stock ready the night before. But if that's not possible, you're going to have to start really early in the morning to get everything packed and ready to go to the stall. The type of market you're doing will determine the amount that you need to bring. There is a lot of lugging of heavy stuff and stock, and it can be a bit of a pain lugging this stuff back and forth. You build up good arm muscles, I will say that. You build up good arm muscles from doing it, but it is a pain lugging back and forth heavy equipment. And you're not just lugging back and forth your stock, you're lugging back and forth your display stuff as well. Remember, your display stuff needs to be good for your markets to draw people in. That is a bit of a con, that you have to do these early mornings and lugging back and forth and stuff. Another con would be standing for hours. Now, that's not to say you can't sit down on your stall. I certainly bring a seat with me, and if it's a quiet day, I will sit down and do some design work because it's a good opportunity for me to do it and I'm not wasting any time. However, you are going to catch a lot more sales if you are standing up, and so that means that you will be standing up for hours, because they're usually 6 hours in market stalls, and that is a long period of time to stand up. Personally, I'm used to it. I've worked a lot of jobs in catering and supermarkets, and even when I was working in the school, I worked in a school, I was doing a lot of standing up. It's kind of something just to consider. Let's go for a pro now. Markets are great if you have larger items to sell. So I've already said that I sell more luxury items. I try and price them so everyone can afford something on my stall, but if you have larger items like I do that are like above the £60 range, then markets are great because these things are normally larger and more tactile objects that online you can't really understand the true scale and detail of, but in person you can see that craftsmanship. And that's the great thing about markets. People are seeing your products in person. They can begin to understand the amount of time and love that you have put into your items. So for instance, I have a large pheasant lamp. I've never made a sale of a large pheasant online, but I have made sales at a market because he is big. I try and make my lamps true to size. So I have this massive pheasant lamp, and those who love hunting and things think it's amazing and they will buy him at a market, but it's not something that they would consider searching for online, and I don't think they would understand the true scale of him from my online store because it's very hard to convey that. So markets are great if you are a seller of larger, more unusual things that you might not consider typing into a search box. Now, bad weather will be a big issue. Most markets are outside. You can get indoor ones, but in light of current events, your market is going to be outside because it is safer for everyone to be outside currently. And bad weather has a big effect on not only footfall but your stock. Sometimes your market stalls may not be under the best of covers. I found good market organisers now who are very aware of this and try and look after you, but occasionally you can go to markets and your covering is subpar and your stock may get damaged as a result of the bad weather. Now you may be thinking to yourself, oh Yanni, I just won't go if there's bad weather. If the organiser has decided to go ahead, then it is better to go. And the reason I'm saying this is because A, you've spent money on it and you're not going to get that money back because the organiser hasn't cancelled it. If the organiser cancels it, you can usually get a refund. But if the organiser doesn't cancel it, then you need to go. Not only because you're potentially losing out anyway, but also because you need to build a rapport with those event organisers, because there are certain points of the year, especially Christmas, which is why I'm doing this now because Christmas is coming, that you want to have that good rapport with the market holders because you want to get into those more lucrative markets at Christmas time and Easter time. If you are an all-weather friend to them, they will be far more friendly to you. In light of current situations in the world with a virus going through our communities, markets are something that may be difficult for you to decide to do, because you going outside and potentially meeting hundreds of different people is going to put you at more risk of catching viruses. And because of that, this year there has been a lot of market cancellations. And this is one of the reasons I have gone online more and why I've started this YouTube channel, because there has been so many market cancellations. I thought I need to get my online ball rolling a lot more than I am. I need to get myself out there more online. And it can be very disheartening, you doing lots of markets and enjoying the experience and then having the market cancelled because of this current situation. That's one of the biggest cons at the moment. You can get yourself geared up, ready to go to these markets, and a local lockdown later, you don't have that market to go to anymore. So your markets are going to be hit and miss, especially this year. And to be honest, if this situation carries on, it may be even next year that markets are affected, which is sad. And the other thing to remember is that because of the current situation, you have to add more thought into your store. You have to think, how do I protect myself? How do I protect my customers to ensure that everyone has a good shopping and safe shopping experience? So for me personally, I wear face masks. My dad is making me a plexiglass screen so I can stand behind that, and there's a lot less interaction between people. I also have hand gel and wipes, and I request that all my customers pay by card, so I'm not handling cash that they've handled. But it is hard, and this year particularly, that is a big consideration for markets. But let's end on a good note. For me, markets are fun. They're great to meet new people. They get me out the house because I can turn into a hermit doing what I do. It's fun to display my stuff. I love using different things to display them, and as you do more markets, you work out how to do your display in the way that you want to. Like mine is now festooned with flowers, garlands of leaves, and I use the height because you don't get a lot of floor space with a store, but there's a lot of height. Make use of that height. It's really handy. And I genuinely have fun getting out to these markets, even in the current situation. The markets are quieter. If you're someone who suffers from poor health or generally just worried about this virus in general, then it may not be for you to do a market in this current situation. But for me, I'm used to doing markets and I love it. And I wouldn't want to do it any other way. That's how I've grown my business. I wouldn't have grown as quickly as I have in the last 2 years without putting myself out there, putting myself into a physical market space and selling directly to people. So I hope this video has been of some help. I'm sorry if I have been very rambly. I have tried to keep it sweet and short, and these are all my own experiences, so other people may agree or disagree with things that I have said. And if you'd like to have me talk about doing markets and stores more, then I'm more than happy to come on here and chat to you about it. Just like and subscribe. You don't even have to subscribe. Leave me a comment below if you want to see me do more conversations about running a market stall, like how to display. Then just let me know below and I will pop some videos up. Have a lovely day, guys, and I will see you in the next studio vlog. Bye!